Jack Hawkins wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at the broken power coupling in his hand. Another day, another repair job at Orbital Repair Station 7. The space station hung at the edge of the solar system, the last stop for ships heading out into the deep black. Jack had worked here for 5 years now, and he'd seen just about every kind of ship that traveled the stars. "Hey Jack, you got an incoming at Dock 12, said Liz over the station intercom. Liz ran the assignment desk and kept all the mechanics on schedule. Jack sighed and put down his tools. "What is it this time?" "Not sure. The ship's design isn't in our database. Might be interesting for you." That caught Jack's attention. He had a reputation for fixing things that other mechanics couldn't figure out. Alien technology was his specialty. While most humans stuck to familiar systems, Jack had a knack for understanding how different species built their ships. 10 minutes later, Jack stood in Dock 12, staring at the strangest vessel he had ever seen. The ship was sleek and black, like polished obsidian, with strange purple crystals embedded along its hull. It was about twice the size of a standard cargo ship, but its design suggested speed rather than carrying capacity. "Beautiful, isn't she?" Jack whispered to himself. He approached slowly, toolkit in hand, admiring the craftsmanship. The ship's entry ramp lowered with a soft hiss. Jack expected to see traders or merchants, the usual clients at the repair station. Instead, 6 tall figures in gleaming armor marched down the ramp and formed a line on either side. Their helmets had no visible eye slots, just smooth, reflective surfaces that gave nothing away. Jack froze. This wasn't normal. Not even close. Then she appeared at the top of the ramp. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the dock lights. Her face was humanoid, but with sharp, angular features. 4 arms emerged from her torso, 2 longer ones that reached almost to her knees, and 2 shorter ones folded across her chest. She wore an elaborate headdress made of the same crystalline material that decorated her ship. "This is the repair technician." Her voice was surprisingly melodic, with an accent Jack couldn't place. One of the guards nodded. "He appears smaller than expected." Jack found his voice. "I'm Jack Hawkins, ma'am. Best mechanic on the station." He tried to sound confident despite feeling very much out of his depth. The blue woman descended the ramp with deliberate steps. Her guards tensed as she approached Jack. "I am Queen Zilara of the Vesperian Empire. Our quantum drive suffered damage passing through an uncharted energy storm. We require repairs before we can continue our journey." Jack's mind raced. The Vesperian Empire. He had heard rumors about them. A highly advanced, matriarchal society from somewhere beyond the Orion Arm. They rarely interacted with humans. "I'll take a look, Your Majesty," Jack said, trying to remember the proper protocol for addressing alien royalty. "But I should warn you if your technology is proprietary." Queen Zilara raised one of her 4 hands. "We are familiar with your reputation, Jack Hawkins. Your understanding of cross-species technology is why we chose this station. You will be compensated generously for your discretion and expertise." One of the guards stepped forward, holding a small cube that glowed from within. "The ship's diagnostics," the guard explained, handing it to Jack. When Jack touched the cube, it projected a 3-dimensional schematic of the ship's engine system. Despite its alien design, Jack could already see the problem. The quantum field regulator had misaligned during the energy storm, causing cascade failures throughout the drive system. "I can fix this," Jack said, studying the projection. "It'll take about 3 days, maybe 4. "Unacceptable," one of the guards snapped. "The Queen's schedule is now adjusted," Queen Zilara interrupted. Her eyes, solid amber with no visible pupils, focused on Jack. 4 days is acceptable, Mechanic Hawkins." Jack noticed how the guard seemed surprised by her easy agreement. Clearly, Queen Zilara didn't typically alter her plans for anyone. "I'll get started right away then," Jack said. "I'll need access to your engine room." As he followed the Queen and her entourage back into the ship, Jack had no idea that fixing this particular vessel would change his life forever. He was just doing his job, the same as any other day at Orbital Repair Station 7. Jack spent the next 2 days deep inside Queen Zilara's ship. The engine room was unlike anything he had seen before. The quantum drive pulsed with an eerie purple light that seemed almost alive. Jack found the work challenging but exciting. On the 3rd day, as Jack was realigning the quantum field stabilizers, he noticed someone watching him. He turned to see Queen Zilara standing in the doorway, observing his work with those strange amber eyes. "Your Majesty," Jack said, quickly wiping his hands on a rag. "I didn't hear you come in." "You are very focused when you work," she said, walking closer. "It is admirable." Jack noticed she had dismissed her guards. This was the first time he had seen her without her protective entourage. "The drive is coming along well," Jack explained, pointing to the repairs. "I should be finished by tomorrow as promised." Queen Zilara nodded but seemed more interested in Jack than the repairs. "You speak to me directly, without fear." "Should I be afraid?" Jack asked before he could stop himself. To his surprise, Queen Zilara made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Most species find a Vesperian royal presence intimidating, even among my own people. Few speak to me as an equal." Jack shrugged. "Where I come from, we judge people by what they do, not their title." "And what do I do, in your estimation?" she asked, now standing very close to him. Jack thought for a moment. "You care about your ship and your mission, whatever that is. You treat your guards with respect, even though they clearly work for you. That says something good about you." Queen Zilara tilted her head. "Humans are fascinating. So simple in your technology, yet complex in your thinking." She reached out with one of her smaller arms and picked up a tool Jack had been using. "That's a modified plasma cutter," Jack explained. "I had to rebuild it to work with your ship's materials." "You created this adaptation yourself?" she asked, examining the tool with evident interest. "Had to. Your ship's hull has elements I'd never seen before. Standard tools wouldn't work." Queen Zilara set the tool down and looked at Jack with new intensity. "Tell me about your life here, Jack Hawkins." The question caught him off guard. "Not much to tell. I fix ships, I get paid, I sleep, and then I fix more ships. No mate, no offspring." Jack nearly dropped his wrench. No. No wife or kids. Never found the right person, I guess." He quickly changed the subject. "What brings the Queen of the Vesperian Empire out this far, if you don't mind me asking?" Queen Zilara seemed amused by his discomfort. "Diplomatic matters. My empire is at a crossroads." She paused, considering her words carefully. "We have reached a point where isolation may no longer serve us." Jack nodded and returned to his work, feeling her eyes still on him. "Everyone needs friends sometimes," he said casually. "Even queens, I bet." Something in his words made Queen Zilara go very still. She watched as Jack reached up to adjust a connection in the drive, his hand accidentally brushing against her exoskeletal arm in the cramped space. Jack pulled back. "Sorry about that." The Queen's reaction was strange. Her blue skin flushed slightly darker, and all 4 of her arms tensed. Behind her, one of her guards who had just entered the engine room made a choking sound. "Is everything okay?" Jack asked, confused by their reaction. Queen Zilara composed herself quickly. "Quite. Please continue your work, Mechanic Hawkins. I have taken enough of your time." She left abruptly, speaking rapidly to her guard in a language Jack's translator couldn't catch. That evening, as Jack returned to his small quarters on the station, he found a package outside his door. Inside was an elaborate outfit made of shimmering material that seemed to change color as it moved. With it was a small note written in elegant script. "Your presence is requested for evening meal. Royal quarters. 20 standard hours." Jack stared at the clothes, then at the note. Something told him this wasn't just a thank you dinner for good service. What had he gotten himself into? Jack tugged at the strange collar of his new clothes. The material felt like silk but seemed to adjust to his body temperature. He stood outside the royal quarters, feeling out of place. "Enter," came Queen Zalora's voice from inside. Jack took a deep breath and stepped through the doorway. The royal quarters were spacious, with walls that seemed to shift colors like the surface of a soap bubble. A table sat in the center, covered with foods Jack had never seen before. Queen Zalora stood by a large viewport that showed the stars outside. She wore a simpler outfit than before, though still clearly royal with its purple crystal accents. "You came," she said, turning to face him. "And you wear our ceremonial attire well." "Thank you for the invitation, Your Majesty," Jack said, trying to remember the manners his mother had taught him. "Though I'm not sure why I'm here." Queen Zalora gestured to the table. "Please, join me. Share nutrition." As they sat, Jack noticed there were no guards in the room, just the two of them. "The repairs will be complete tomorrow," Jack said, watching as she used her 4 arms to gracefully serve their plates. "You'll be able to continue your journey." "Yes, you have impressive skills for a human," she said. "Try the blue fruit. It is considered a delicacy on my world." Jack took a bite. It tasted like a mix of mango and blueberry. "It's good," he said with genuine surprise. "Jack Hawkins," Queen Zalora said suddenly, setting down her eating utensils. "I must speak with you about what happened earlier today." Jack swallowed hard. "Did I do something wrong?" "When you touched my arm in the engine room, do you know what that signifies in Vesperian culture?" Jack shook his head, feeling a knot form in his stomach. "In my society, such contact is only permitted between potential mates. It is an invitation." Her amber eyes studied his reaction closely. Jack nearly choked on his drink. "I had no idea. I'm really sorry if I offended you." Queen Zalora made that sound again, the one that might be laughter. "I am not offended. I am intrigued." Intrigued. The Vesperian Empire faces challenges. Our genetic diversity has decreased over centuries of isolation. Our scientists believe human DNA may be compatible with ours and could help strengthen our royal lineage. Jack set down his fork. "I'm not sure I'm following." Queen Zalora leaned forward. "Our laws require me to choose a mate who shows exceptional skills and courage. Your reputation for solving impossible mechanical problems brought us to this station. Your boldness in touching me, even if accidental by your standards, is seen by my advisors as a sign." "A sign of what?" Jack asked, though he was beginning to understand. "That you might be worthy to be my consort." Jack stared at her, speechless. This had to be a joke. "I know this is unexpected," Queen Zalora continued, "but consider the opportunity. You would have access to technology beyond human understanding. You would help guide an empire, and our scientists could extend your lifespan considerably." "You're serious?" Jack finally managed to say. "You want me to marry you?" "The concept is more complex than human marriage, but essentially, yes." Her expression was unreadable. "What is your response?" Before Jack could answer, a loud alarm blared throughout the ship. Queen Zalora stood immediately, her posture changing from relaxed to alert. A guard burst into the room. "My queen, we have detected approaching vessels. They bear the markings of the isolationist faction." Queen Zalora's face hardened. "How did they find us?" "Unknown, Your Majesty, but they are hailing the station now. They demand to speak with you and the human." The guard looked at Jack with what seemed like accusation. "What's going on?" Jack asked, standing as well. "Who are these people?" Queen Zalora turned to him, her expression grave. "Those who disagree with my interest in strengthening our bloodline with outside genetics. Those who would rather see our species die than change." She touched a panel on the wall, bringing up a display of 3 ships approaching the station. "They will destroy this station to prevent what they see as contamination of our royal line," she said quietly. The alarm continued to blare as Jack realized his simple repair job had just become far more complicated. The station's security alert echoed through the corridors as Jack ran alongside Queen Zilara toward the command center. Her guards formed a protective circle around them. "Station Control, this is Security Chief Diana Mitchell," came a stern voice over the station's communication system. "All non-essential personnel should return to quarters immediately." Jack knew Diana well. She was tough, smart, and didn't take threats to her station lightly. When they reached the command center, Diana was already organizing the station's defenses. "Jack, what are you doing here?" Diana asked, looking surprised to see him with the alien queen. "He is under my protection," Queen Zilara stated before Jack could answer. Diana's eyes narrowed. "With all due respect, Your Majesty, this is my station, and Jack is one of our people." Jack stepped forward. "Diana, those ships out there are after the Queen. And apparently me too. I think we need to work together." Diana studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Fine. But I want to know what's going on." She turned to her display. 3 vessels, heavily armed. "They're demanding we hand over the Queen and you, Jack. They claim this is an internal Vesperian matter." One of Queen Zilara's advisors, a thin Vesperian with pale blue skin, moved to Jack's side. "You should understand what is happening, human. Our empire is divided on how to address our genetic decline. Queen Zilara leads the progressive faction, who believe controlled genetic diversity is our salvation. The ships outside represent the isolationist faction, who believe any outside influence will destroy what makes us Vesperian. And I'm in the middle because," Jack began. "Because the Queen's interest in you as a potential mate has become known," the advisor said. "News travels quickly through quantum communication channels." Diana looked at Jack with wide eyes. "Potential mate. Jack, what did you do?" "Nothing," Jack protested. "Well, I accidentally touched her arm, which apparently means something very different in Vesperian culture." The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of another Vesperian. His skin was darker blue, almost purple, and his expression was cold. "Queen Zilara," he said, his voice dripping with disdain, "end this foolishness. Return to the homeworld and select a proper mate from our own kind." Queen Zilara stepped forward. "Commander Vorax, you overstep your authority. My choice of consort is protected by royal prerogative and ancient law. Laws meant to protect our genetic purity, not dilute it with lesser species," Vorax replied. His eyes shifted to Jack. "This human knows nothing of our ways, our struggles, our history. I know enough to understand that dying out from stubbornness is a poor choice," Jack said before he could stop himself. Diana shot him a warning look, but Queen Zilara seemed pleased by his response. Vorax's face darkened. "We will give you 1 hour to surrender. After that, we will take action." The screen went dark. "They can't attack a human station," Diana said. "That would violate at least 3 interspecies treaties." "They believe they are saving our species," the Queen's advisor explained. "Treaties mean little against extinction." Jack moved to a nearby console. "We need to strengthen the station's shields. I've been working with shield harmonics for years. Maybe we can adapt some of the Vesperian technology from the Queen's ship to boost our defenses." Diana nodded. "Good idea. I'll coordinate with my security team." As they worked, Queen Zilara approached Jack. "You continue to surprise me. Most would run from such danger." Jack didn't look up from the console. "Running won't help if they destroy the station." "There is another option," she said quietly. "I could surrender myself. You would be safe." Jack finally looked at her. "And then what?" "They force you to marry someone you don't want to. Or worse. It would be unpleasant, but perhaps necessary." "No," Jack said firmly. "We find another way. No one gets sacrificed today." Queen Zilara studied him with those amber eyes. "This is why you would make a worthy consort. You think beyond yourself." Diana called from across the room. "Jack, I need you over here." As Jack moved to help Diana, he wondered how fixing the simple engine problem had led to him defending a space station against alien warships, all because he might become the mate of an alien queen. His life had definitely taken an unexpected turn. With 30 minutes left before Commander Vorax's deadline, Jack returned to Queen Zalara's ship. He needed parts from her quantum drive to boost the station's shields. As he worked quickly in the engine room, he noticed something strange. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered, examining the damaged components more closely. The damage to the Queen's ship hadn't been caused by an energy storm as she had claimed. The burn pattern showed signs of deliberate sabotage. Someone had wanted to strand Queen Zalara at this specific station. Jack pocketed a small data chip he found hidden in the damaged section and hurried back to the command center with the parts he needed. "I got what we need," Jack told Diana as he rushed in. He glanced around. "Where's the Queen?" Meeting with her advisors, Diana replied, helping Jack install the Vesperian components into the station's shield system. "Jack, something isn't right about all this. Why would these Vesperians care so much about one human mechanic?" Jack hesitated, then showed her the data chip. "I found this hidden in the Queen's engine. I think her ship was sabotaged, not damaged in a storm." Diana's eyes widened. "Can you read what's on it?" Jack inserted the chip into a station computer. The screen filled with strange symbols, then translated to English. Both Jack and Diana stared at the information in shock. "This can't be right," Diana whispered. The data showed images of humans and Vesperians together, dating back hundreds of years. According to the files, Vesperians had visited Earth long ago and had even established hidden colonies. More importantly, the data suggested that human and Vesperian DNA had been successfully combined before. "They've been watching us," Jack said, "and some of them have been living among us." "But why keep it secret?" Diana asked. "Perhaps because not everyone approved," came Queen Zalora's voice from behind them. Jack and Diana turned to see the Queen standing in the doorway, her expression unreadable. "You knew," Jack said. "This wasn't just about finding new genetic material. You already knew it would work." Queen Zalara approached slowly. "Yes, our species have more history than most humans know. My ancestors believed our peoples could benefit from each other, but the isolationist faction gained power and ended the program." She looked at the screen. "Where did you find this?" "In your engine," Jack said. "Someone planted it there, along with the sabotage that brought you to my repair bay." The Queen's advisor rushed in. "My Queen, Commander Vorax is hailing us again. The hour is nearly up." On the main screen, Commander Vorax appeared, looking even angrier than before. "Your time is finished. What is your decision?" Before Queen Zalara could speak, Jack stepped forward. "Commander, I've found something you should see." He transmitted the data from the chip. Vorax's expression changed from anger to shock as he viewed the information. "These are forbidden records. Where did you get them?" "They were hidden in the Queen's ship," Jack explained. "Someone wanted this information found." "It changes nothing," Vorax insisted, but with less conviction. "The Queen must return and choose a proper mate. The records show that humans and Vesperians have successfully interbred before," Jack argued. "Your own history proves it can work." "Our people deserve to know the truth," Queen Zalara added, "that we once worked together with humans and could do so again." The command center fell silent as Vorax seemed to struggle with this new information. Finally, he spoke. "I must consult with the faction elders. You have more time. For now." The screen went dark. "That was clever," Diana said to Jack. "But it's only a delay." Queen Zalara turned to Jack, her amber eyes intense. "Someone orchestrated this entire situation. The sabotage, the hidden records, perhaps even Vorax finding us here." "But who would do that?" Jack asked. "And why?" The Queen's advisor stepped closer. "There is a third faction among our people, smaller but growing. They call themselves the Reconcilers. They seek to restore the ancient alliance between our species. Jack looked at the data on the screen again. So I'm part of someone's political game. Perhaps, Queen Zillara said. Or perhaps you are exactly where fate intended you to be. An alert sounded on Diana's console. New ships coming out of faster-than-light travel, she announced. A lot of them. Everyone in the command center watched tensely as the new ships appeared on the main screen. There were 5 of them, larger than Commander Vorax's vessels. Their Vesperian royal fleet, Queen Zillara said, recognizing the markings. The High Council must have sent them. Diana checked her readings. They're hailing us and Commander Vorax's ships. The screen split to show 2 images. Commander Vorax on one side and a stern-looking female Vesperian on the other. She wore elaborate armor with many more crystal decorations than the Queen's guards. High Admiral Zanara, Queen Zillara said with obvious relief. The Council received my message. Indeed, my Queen, the Admiral replied. Commander Vorax, you are ordered to stand down immediately. The High Council has declared your actions unauthorized. Vorax looked furious. Admiral, you don't understand. The Queen plans to take a human mate. It violates our most sacred traditions. The Council is aware of the situation, Admiral Zanara said coldly. And they have determined that according to ancient law, any royal mate must be tested for worthiness. Tradition demands the trials of compatibility. Jack looked at Queen Zillara. Trials of compatibility. The Queen nodded. Tests to determine if a potential consort is truly suitable. Physical, mental, and emotional challenges designed to reveal one's true nature and abilities. And if I don't want to participate? Jack asked quietly. Then I must return alone, she answered. The choice is yours. Commander Vorax sneered. No human could pass the trials. They were designed for Vesperian physiology and intellect. The law does not specify species, Admiral Zanara countered. Only worthiness. Diana pulled Jack aside. Jack, what are you thinking? You can't seriously be considering this. I'm not sure, Jack admitted, but something bigger is happening here. These 3 factions, the hidden history between our species. I feel like I'm part of something important. Diana shook her head. Or you're being manipulated. Either way, it's dangerous. Station control. This is Earth Central Command. A new voice interrupted, coming through the communication system. We've detected multiple alien vessels near your position. Report status immediately. Everyone froze. Earth authorities had noticed the situation. Diana answered, Earth Central. This is Security Chief Mitchell. We have Vesperian diplomatic vessels in our sector. Situation is under control. She muted the channel and turned to the others. This is getting complicated fast. If Earth sends military ships, things could get ugly. Queen Zillara approached Jack. Time grows short. The High Council has opened a path forward through the trials, but you must decide. Jack looked at the data still displayed on the screen, showing the ancient connection between humans and Vesperians. If I agree to these trials, what exactly would I be getting into? The Queen's advisor stepped forward. The trials test 4 aspects: technical skill, which you have demonstrated; ethical reasoning, to ensure you can make wise decisions; adaptability, to show you can thrive in new situations; and empathic connection, to prove you can understand and work with Vesperians. And if I pass? Jack asked. You would be recognized as worthy to join with the royal line, Queen Zillara said, though the final choice to accept would still be yours. Jack thought for a moment. And if I participate in these trials, will Commander Vorax stand down? Will the station be safe? Admiral Zanara nodded. By law, all factions must respect the sacred process of the trials. No harm may come to any involved parties until they are complete. Jack looked at Diana, who still seemed worried, then at Queen Zillara, whose amber eyes watched him intently. Okay, Jack finally said. I'll do it. I'll take these trials. Queen Zilara's expression remained controlled, but her skin brightened slightly with what Jack now recognized as pleasure. "It is decided," Admiral Zanera announced. "The human Jack Hawkins will undergo the trials of compatibility. They will begin at the next cycle." Commander Vorax looked displeased, but said nothing more before his image disappeared from the screen. "Jack," Diana said once the communication ended, "I hope you know what you're doing." "Me too," Jack replied honestly. "But something tells me this is bigger than all of us." As preparations began for the trials, Jack wondered what he had just committed himself to. He had come to this station to be a simple mechanic, not to potentially become the mate of an alien queen. The first 3 trials had pushed Jack to his limits. For technical skill, he had to repair a complex Vesperian device while being timed. The ethical trial forced him to make difficult decisions in simulated scenarios involving conflicts between human and Vesperian interests. The adaptability test placed him in environments with different gravity, atmosphere, and temperature to see how quickly he could function. Now Jack stood before the final trial. Empathic connection. "This is the most important test," Queen Zalara explained as they walked together toward a chamber on her ship. "Without true understanding between our species, any union would fail." Jack nodded tiredly. The past 2 days had drained him physically and mentally. "What exactly does this trial involve?" "A neural link," she said. "Our minds will connect briefly. You will experience some of my memories, and I will experience some of yours." Jack stopped walking. "Wait, you'll be able to read my mind." "Not exactly. We will share emotional impressions and significant memories. It is intimate." Jack felt uncomfortable. "Is there any other way to complete the trials?" "No," Queen Zilara said firmly. "This is the foundation of Vesperian partnerships." They entered a circular room with a strange device in the center. 2 chairs facing each other with a glowing crystal suspended between them. Admiral Zanara and several observers from each Vesperian faction were already present. Even Commander Vorax stood watching, his expression sour. "Begin when ready," Admiral Zanara instructed. Jack and Queen Zilara sat in the chairs. The Queen reached out with all 4 hands, taking both of Jack's hands in hers. "Close your eyes," she said softly. "Try not to resist." Jack closed his eyes as the crystal between them glowed brighter. Suddenly, a flood of images and feelings washed over him. He saw a young Zilara training intensely, carrying the weight of her people's expectations. He felt her loneliness as she ascended to the throne, surrounded by advisors but having no true friends. He witnessed her discovery of the ancient records showing human Vesperian cooperation and her determination to save her species from genetic decline. Most surprising was a clear memory of her first seeing him working on another ship months ago during a secret visit to the station. She had been impressed by his creativity in solving a difficult repair and had specifically requested him when planning this mission. As the connection continued, Jack felt her genuine concern for her people's future, her frustration with the fighting factions, and most surprisingly, her growing personal interest in him that went beyond politics. The connection faded, and Jack opened his eyes, feeling dizzy. Queen Zilara was looking at him with a new intensity. "I have witnessed enough," Admiral Zanera announced. "The human has completed all trials." Commander Vorax stepped forward angrily. "This proves nothing. He may have technical skills, but he cannot understand our culture, our history." "Actually," Jack said, standing slowly, "I understand more than you think. I saw the real reason for your objections, Commander." Vorax flinched. "You don't fear humans," Jack continued. "You fear change because you don't know where you would belong in a changed society. Your position depends on keeping things exactly as they are." The other Vesperians murmured among themselves as Vorax's skin darkened with what Jack now knew was their version of embarrassment. Queen Zilara stood beside Jack. "The trials are complete. Jack Hawkins has proven worthy to be considered as royal consort." Jack was still processing everything he had seen in their shared connection. "I need time to think about all this." "Of course," she said. I would expect nothing less. As they left the chamber, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. Diana's voice came over the communication system, sounding urgent. Jack, Queen Zilara, we have a problem. Earth military vessels have just arrived. They're demanding all Vesperian ships withdraw immediately and are threatening to board the station. Jack looked at Queen Zilara with concern. The situation just got more complicated. Indeed, she agreed. What will you do now, Jack Hawkins? Your people have arrived. You could return to your simple life and forget all of this. Jack thought about everything he had experienced during the neural link. The Queen's loneliness, her genuine care for her people, her secret admiration of him long before they'd properly met. I'm not going anywhere, he said firmly. We need to find a way to make both sides understand each other, just like we did. Queen Zilara's amber eyes softened. That is why you passed the trials, Jack. You see beyond yourself to what could be. 1 year later, Jack stood at the viewport of the new joint human-Vesperian outpost that orbited between their two systems. He watched as the Earth diplomatic vessel approached, carrying the first official ambassadors. Nervous? Diana asked, joining him at the window. After the events at Orbital Repair Station 7, she had accepted the position of security chief for the new outpost. A little, Jack admitted. It's not every day you help negotiate peace between two species. So much had happened since that tense standoff between the Earth military and the Vesperian ships. Jack had proposed a third option beyond the two choices that seemed available to him: becoming the Queen's consort on her world or returning to his simple life on the station. Instead, he had suggested creating a joint outpost where humans and Vesperians could work together, with him serving as a cultural ambassador rather than simply a royal mate. His idea had satisfied Vesperian law while respecting his human identity. It hadn't been easy. Commander Vorax and his faction had continued to resist, and some human officials had been more interested in stealing Vesperian technology than peaceful cooperation. But the data showing the ancient connection between their species had helped convince enough people on both sides to give the idea a chance. Queen Zilara has arrived, announced the outpost's communication system. Jack smiled. Over the past year, his relationship with Zilara had evolved into something neither of them had expected. Free from the pressure of immediate politics, they had discovered genuine connection and respect. Queen Zilara entered the observation deck, wearing simpler attire than her royal garments but still clearly regal. Her amber eyes found Jack immediately. The human delegation is almost here, she said, moving to stand beside him. They will be impressed by what we have built. It's been quite a year, Jack said, looking around at the outpost that combined the best of both their technologies. Humans and Vesperians worked side by side throughout the station. Do you ever regret your choice? Zilara asked quietly. You could have returned to your simple life fixing ships. Jack shook his head. Not for a second. Though sometimes I missed the simplicity of just having to worry about broken engines rather than interspecies diplomacy. Zilara made the sound that Jack now knew was laughter. He had grown to love that sound. The Reconciler faction has grown stronger on my world, she said. Many now see the benefits of our cooperation. The genetic treatments developed by our combined scientific teams have already shown promising results. Diana checked her security display. The Earth ship is docking now. We should head to the reception area. As they walked through the outpost corridors, Jack reflected on how far they had come. The relationship between him and Zilara had developed slowly, on their own terms, outside the constraints of either culture's expectations. Jack, Zilara said, stopping before they reached the reception area. There is something I wish to tell you before the formal meetings begin. Jack turned to her. What is it? The High Council has officially recognized our arrangement. You are now formally acknowledged as my chosen consort, but with the unique status we created together. She extended one of her 4 hands toward him. We have truly created something new between our peoples. Jack took her hand, feeling the now familiar texture of her blue skin. From fixing your ship to changing two civilizations. Not bad for a simple mechanic. Diana cleared her throat from ahead of them. They're waiting for you too. They entered the reception area together, where representatives from Earth and the Vesperian homeworld stood on opposite sides of the room, looking uncertain. Jack stepped forward. Welcome to Harmony Outpost, the first joint venture between our species. 1 year ago, I was just a mechanic fixing a damaged ship. Today, we stand at the beginning of a new chapter for both our peoples. As Jack began introducing the human delegates to Queen Zalora and her advisors, he caught her eye across the room. There was warmth there, and something more, a shared vision of what their peoples could become together. Jack Hawkins had never planned to become part of alien politics or to form a deep bond with an alien queen. He had just been doing his job, fixing a broken ship, but sometimes the most important journeys began with the simplest steps, and the most meaningful connections came from the most unexpected meetings.